Imagine someone asked you to hurt another person. Would you do it? Most people answer the same way. Never. They were wrong. Not because they were cruel, because they were human.
It's a Tuesday morning. You notice a small ad in the local paper. A university is looking for volunteers. Teachers, clerks, mechanics, ordinary people for a simple 1-hour study on memory and learning. $4 just for showing up. You have time, you take the offer. You walk into a basement laboratory. A researcher in a gray lab coat welcomes you. There's another volunteer already sitting there. Middle-aged, friendly face, the kind of person you'd trust immediately. The researcher explains the theory. Humans learn better when punished for mistakes. He holds out a hat with 2 slips of paper. You reach in. Your slip reads, teacher. The other man pulls his, learner. 30 switches, starting at 15 volts, ending at 450. Slight shock, moderate shock, intense shock, danger, severe shock. And at the very end, the last 2 switches, no label at all. Just 3 red letters stamped into the metal. X, X, X. What you don't know, what no one ever knew walking into that room, is that everything you've just seen was staged. The ad, the hat, the draw, the friendly man in the chair. All of it. He is in on the secret. Your instructions are simple. Read a list of word pairs into a microphone. Right answer? Move on. Wrong answer? Flip the first switch. Every mistake after that, move 1 switch higher. At first, it's almost ridiculous, a silly parlor game. Then, the answers start coming back wrong. 30 volts, 60 volts, 90 volts. At 75 volts, you hear a grunt through the wall. At 120, he shouts that the shocks are starting to genuinely hurt. Something shifts in the room, not in the machine, in you. You keep going. The machine no longer feels like part of an experiment. It starts to feel like it's watching you. Then, you hit 150 volts. The moment you flip that switch, "Experimenter, get me out of here! I refuse to go on! My heart is starting to bother me!" You stop. You turn to the researcher. You tell him you want to quit. The researcher doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He simply looks at his clipboard. Please continue. The experiment requires that you continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. You have no other choice. You must go on. This is the moment almost everyone believes they would stop. Ask people on any street today, and most will tell you, "Right here, I'd walk out." You turn to the researcher. If something happens to him, who's responsible? He doesn't hesitate. I am. Something ancient in your brain accepts that. The responsibility no longer feels like yours. You turn back and press the next switch. 270 volts. An agonizing scream. 300 volts. "I won't answer anymore!" The researcher speaks calmly. Treat no answer as a wrong answer. Continue. You obey. 315 volts. A click. A flash. Then, silence. No scream, no protest, nothing. You stare at the next switch. 330 volts. Please, check on him. The researcher doesn't even look up. You have no other choice. You must go on. You sit there, hand hovering over the machine. How did I get here? Before Stanley Milgram ran this experiment in 1961, he described the exact setup to 40 elite psychiatrists, people who had spent their careers studying the human mind. He asked them one question: how many ordinary people will go all the way to the end, all the way to 450 volts, on a silent human being? Think about your own answer for a moment.
The psychiatrists were confident. Less than 1%, they said. Only a sadist, only a psychopath. They were wrong. 65%. Nearly 2 out of every 3 ordinary people delivered the maximum, potentially lethal shock, because a man in a gray lab coat told them they had to. And they didn't enjoy it. They were sweating, stuttering, weeping openly while they pushed the buttons. They hated every second of it, and they did it anyway. To understand what happened in that room, you need to know what was happening in 1961. While Milgram was running this experiment, a man named Adolf Eichmann was standing trial in Jerusalem. The world expected a monster. Instead, they found an ordinary bureaucrat. His defense never changed. I was just following orders. Milgram realized something disturbing. Extreme obedience isn't a flaw found in a few people. It's a tendency found in all of us. He called it the agentic state. When we're alone, we feel responsible. But inside a hierarchy, responsibility quietly moves upward. We stop asking, is this right? And start asking, am I following instructions? That instinct helped our ancestors survive. Following a trusted leader often meant staying alive. Our brains never forgot it. The only difference today is that the lab coat is invisible. Sometimes it's a boss. Sometimes an algorithm. Sometimes simply, that's how it's always been done. The people in Milgram's study weren't monsters. They were ordinary people. Teachers, clerks, mechanics, people who looked a lot like us. The experiment didn't find monsters. It found a mirror. The most catastrophic moments in human history rarely happened because crowds of evil people woke up wanting to do evil. They happened because ordinary people stopped asking, is this right? And started asking, am I supposed to do this? The switches disappeared. The decisions didn't. At the beginning of this video, I asked you one question. Would you do it? You answered immediately. You were certain. Now, answer it again.